Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut, dropped on HBO Max and Crave here in Canada yesterday, and I feel like everyone kind of knows what's happening with this movie, but if you don't, basically what happened was there was a theatrical cut back in 2017. It was released in theaters, and Zack Snyder, who before had made, obviously, Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel, was directing it, but then something awful happened in his family, so he stepped down, and the studio's like, hey, we want to finish this. So they brought in Joss Whedon, who made The Avengers from 2012, and then he kind of changed some things, and then we got that mess in 2017. But because of the internet, basically, and everyone saying hashtag release the Snyder Cut, we finally got it, and oh my god, is it amazing. This one has the same general story as the other one. Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince are trying to recruit other members for their alliance as Steppenwolf is trying to get all the mother boxes to fuse together. You might be wondering though, why would I watch a movie that's actually double the length of something I've already seen? Well, my friends, this movie is phenomenal. Going into it, I was interested because I wasn't the biggest fan of Justice League from 2017. I mean, I watched it once at home and I didn't really like it. I haven't seen it since. I barely remember any scenes from it, so I wanted to see what they cut from it. All of that here. I remember like the mustache problem, which is funny, and then the weird "do you bleed" line when the resurrection. And like Batman recruiting Flash, and like the scene where he goes to recruit Aquaman for the first time. But I barely remembered anything, and I didn't even remember how the final battle ended, so I was quite excited. The Snyder Cut improves on every single thing about the theatrical one. We get more time spent with the characters, character depth, backstories, motivations, emotion, and some badass action sequences. This movie is 4 hours long, and I have to say, when I watched it, there were times where I paused it, but I didn't pause it because I needed a break from the movie. Someone would talk to me, so I'd pause it and talk to them, but I was so invested in the movie, I could easily watch again. I said this before, I don't remember who I said it to, but I said I've never wanted to rewatch a 4-hour movie so badly. Like a movie that is this long, technically, the Lord of the Rings Return of the King extended cut is extended version, whatever, is the longest movie I've seen because far as 23 minutes, but this one's really close, and I really already want to rewatch it. I'm definitely going to before the end of the year. So take that as you will, of course, with the pausing it, but I could definitely sit down and watch it all. I think it absolutely flew by because I was so invested in it, and I'm a massive fan of Zack Snyder's other films. I've seen 300, it's been a few years, and I really remember loving it, and then I love Man of Steel, and I also love the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman. I rewatch them, I have videos on them, so definitely check them out. I'll link them down below and up here. I knew there had to be something because Zack Snyder had full creative control of this movie, and I think this is the best one yet. The entire cast was just fantastic once again. Ben Affleck nailed both Batman and Bruce Wayne here because you really feel his presence, but when he assembles a team, it feels so natural, and what I mean by that is that I don't see Ben Affleck on the screen. I only see Bruce Wayne, and coming from someone whose favorite superhero is Batman, that is a massive compliment. Same goes for Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot, I'm still not 100% sure how to say it even years later, as Diana Prince. That has to be one of the best casting choices ever for any superhero, and she has this kick-ass theme while she's kicking ass in this movie. Those two characters actually take a step back in this movie, and it actually works for the best, and I think that's because we had seen their solo movies before, or at least movies. I know technically Batman vs. Superman wasn't a solo movie, but it was more focused on these characters, but we actually get other characters like Cyborg that take a big step forward, and the main focus of the movie is really Cyborg, and then of course we have Flash, we have Aquaman, but we learned so much about Ray Fisher's Cyborg here, and it helps so much. I didn't really care for him that much in Justice League, but here, he is easily one of my favorite characters, and Ray Fisher is just flawless. I'm not really sure why they cut a bunch of his scenes, but they do so much with his backstory that really hits hard in the end. Same goes for Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. They were just hilarious here, provided some amazing comedic relief, but also in the action sequences, they performed it to perfection. Jason Momoa is also excellent here, as always, but I haven't actually seen Aquaman yet, and which is funny because I originally watched the theatrical cut of this, Justice League, back at the end of 2018 so I could go see Aquaman, but I just never did. But I'm going to be watching it this weekend because I will be ranking all the DCEU movies coming sometime next week. Jason Momoa just was so great here. He has amazing chemistry with all the other actors, characters, and it just works so well. They also made it a 4:3 aspect ratio here, which works because there's more room at the top here as opposed to the other one, which has black bars on the top and bottom like I'm showing you on the screen here. And I think it worked for me because obviously it would be IMAX but stretched out more, and it's really ballsy of them to do that because, well, Zack Snyder, it's really ballsy of him to do that because that's not something you typically see. Like, I don't think there's any ones that are at least newer that have that aspect ratio. It does take a little bit of getting used to because it's just different, and I think because we've seen some of the scenes in the different aspect ratio, that's why. But overall, I think it was a much better choice. I liked it more like this as opposed to this, just because of some of the scenes here and the close-ups. I've said this before and I will say it once again, nothing hits harder than a close-up in a 4:3 aspect ratio, whether that's an old movie, whether that's a movie like this. You know, there is an amazing close-up of Barry Allen towards the end, and there's just so much emotion in it. It's amazing. The action sequences are improved majorly and actually memorable this time. I honestly forgot how the 2017 one ended, and I'm so glad they removed that stupid red in the final battle, and it looks so much better here. That scene I just mentioned with Barry is easily one of the best sequences in the entire movie. There's so much more I would like to say about the Snyder Cut, but I'm just gonna save it for now because on Sunday, I think it's gonna come out on Sunday, Chris from Filmstock and I are gonna do a spoiler discussion on it, a big spoiler discussion. I mean, this is a 4-hour movie, so there's lots to talk about, so definitely come back to my channel for that. Zack Snyder's Justice League is a bold, epic, emotionally rich, and satisfying movie overall. It has a few minor problems, but I can see them all going away on rewatch. This has got to be one of my favorite comic book movies of the last few years for sure, and I'm just so happy to see all these characters done right. Thank you, Mr. Snyder, and rest in peace, Autumn Snyder. I'm gonna give Zack Snyder's Justice League a 4.5 out of 5. I'm honestly just so glad with how this movie turned out. It's just one of those things where you see the studio interference and it really wrecked the movie. Now, I did not hate the 2017 one again. I saw it once and I never wanted to watch it again. I was thinking about watching it again and I still am, but I don't really want to just to compare it. But I'm like, I don't really want to put myself through that. I just wasn't a fan of it. I didn't care for it at all, which kind of sucks because it has characters like Batman in it. How do you put Batman in a movie and make me not care about it? Can you imagine though if this came out before Infinity War and Endgame? Like, just so much would have changed. But this is just proof that, you know, studios should kind of take a step back and give directors full control at times, because when we look at this movie and this one, the Ultimate Edition, they're just so much better. Everyone loves them more. It would have been crazy if this came out. Once again, thank you, Zack Snyder, for doing these characters right. And if you've seen the Snyder Cut or Zack Snyder's Justice League, whatever you want to call it, tell me what you thought of the movie down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Rest in peace, Autumn Snyder.